Hey guys, Frightener22 here, and welcome back to another Cinema Sickness Daily Servings review. Today we're going to take a peek at a film from the early 90s that was written and produced by the great John Hughes. So we're going to take a look at 1991's Dutch. Now this film, was actually a lot of fun. It stars Ed O'Neill, who's most, well known for his role on Married with Children, Ethan Randall, who was known at the time by that name, but of course we know him today as Ethan Embry, who would go on to later star in such films as Can't Hardly Wait and Vegas Vacation, and it also co-stars Jo Beth Williams from Poltergeist, as well as Christopher McDonald, who many of you guys would remember as Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore, as well as a small role by E.G. Daly from Pee-wee's Big Adventure and the voice of Tommy Pickles on Rugrats. Now this film, like I said, was written and produced by the great John Hughes, and it was actually directed by Peter Faiman, who up until that point in time had only one other feature film directing credit to his name, and that was Crocodile Dundee. And surprisingly, Dutch was the only film that he made after that, and, ever since then he's never made a film after Dutch. But basically the plot line of this film is Ed O'Neill plays the boyfriend of Jo Beth Williams. So in order to get to know her son, he decides to pick him up from prep school, but it isn't until he finally gets there and the journey begins between them just how difficult of a little brat this kid really can be. Now, like I said, this film was, it was a pretty fun time. I really enjoyed it. To be fair, though, I mean, this film is definitely just Hughes really treading on the planes, trains, and automobiles formula, but really, what's wrong with that? Not much, but, really, it is basically the same plot line. It's, Ed O'Neill picking up Ethan Embry from prep school, and then the journey begins over Thanksgiving. They're trying to get back in time for the Thanksgiving holiday and heading back to Chicago. Very, it's exactly like Steve Martin's journey, but the circumstances are different, and of course, the people involved are different. Instead of just two strangers meeting, this is, the boyfriend and, the son's mother, or the son of the mother. So, I mean, overall, this was a fun time. I mean, I really did enjoy it. It's just a fun little buddy comedy, road movie. That's the best thing that can be said about it. Ed O'Neill, up until this point in time, I only had really known him from Married with Children and another one of my favorite family films from the early 90s, Little Giants. So Dutch really gave me an opportunity to see, some more of his comedic efforts in feature film roles, and I had a lot of fun time with this. Seeing him in the lead role, I think he handled the film really well. Ethan Embry, who this is actually one of his first film roles ever, and it's so funny just seeing him because I've always just associated him with since Can't Hardly Wait. I don't think I've ever seen him in a role where he was younger than what he was in Can't Hardly Wait. So this was a real treat to see his acting and comedic chops when he was a little kid. But he handles this really well. This kid is such a spoiled little brat, and he gives Ed O'Neill a real run for his money. So the chemistry that develops between them just kind of going, clashing heads is actually a lot of fun to see. An interesting thing to note about Dutch, though, is that a film like this would never, ever be made today. It's just like, when you watch the film and you kind of see the humor that ensues between them, you'll understand. I mean, granted, this film is rated PG-13, but even a PG-13 film that's kind of, directed towards families and kind of a younger age demographic, this would never happen. Just kind of like the dialogue exchanges between Ethan Embry and Ed O'Neill, are just a little kind of over the top and not politically correct by today's lame standards. I thought it was really funny. I was cracking up at it, but it's just, society and how we, people view things today that would think that this is a little risque. Like, Ed O'Neill's character is kind of, beating up on him, but I use that term really lightly, but when you watch the film, you're just, knowing how people are today and the kind of stuff that's shoved down our throat today, it's like, God, they would never get away with just showing something like that, even knowing it's kind of being done in a very funny and comedic way. And then, you know, just like I said, more like of the dialogue exchanges of Ed O'Neill's character kind of calling Ethan Embry like a little son of a bitch at times. Like, things like that would never happen today if this is a film, directed towards a younger family-esque demographic. So, you know, it's a film like Dutch that really makes you appreciate the kind of family films and humor that was coming out for family films, during the the early to mid 90s. So this is definitely a real diamond in the rough as far as humor goes. But of course, like I mentioned earlier, the formula is, not incredibly the most original thing that Hughes has ever come up with. This was a 20th Century Fox film, so this came a year after Home Alone, so I can only imagine that after the success that Hughes gave to 20th Century Fox with Home Alone, I'm sure that they probably just gave Hughes a lot of free rein with this. But surprisingly, this film was a box office disaster. It was a real flop at the time that it came out, and surprisingly, they were actually hoping to have a sequel materialize out of this film, but I guess because of the poor box office performance, that never happened, needless to say. But you know what? Overall, this film I did have a lot of fun with, and although it didn't do incredibly great at the box office, I do find it really cool that a film like Dutch from, Hughes's post-directing career is getting some play on Blu-ray, because although it's not, a film that screams like, a Hughes classic that you would want to own on Blu-ray, it's totally welcomed into any library, that has plenty of Hughes stuff in it. Like, I'm just happy to own this thing because I think it's really cool that Anchor Bay put this out. I mean, we're still waiting on a lot of Hughes classics on Blu-ray, like 16 Candles and Weird Science and whatnot, but getting something like Dutch just kind of out of nowhere is a lot of fun. So, not the most perfect comedy in the world, but it's a really, really fun and enjoyable way to kill 100 minutes. So I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're a Hughes fan or an Ed O'Neill fan. And I mean, just the inclusion of Ethan Embry at such a young age is definitely a cool thing to check out. Well, guys, that's all I got for you this time. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for yet another one of my Cinema Sickness Daily Servings review. Thanks again for tuning in. This is Frightener22.